Absolutely. So, but that's why it was working in the beginning when you were just sort of like stumbling and bumbling and just nervous. And so, but you got to keep that even while you're talking, kind of let her lead.
Right.
Which is kind of part of the fun of the scene is that this little girl, you even need her to hold your hand. You don't just offer her the beer. I would use her to looking at the beer to induce you to go, oh, you want, okay.
She's helping me, yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
And what was your objective, Pam?
So it was kind of like anxiety with revenge.
The emotion is great. I don't know, revenge?
Because so she had a fight with the best friend and everything, telling her she's ordinary.
Yeah.
And we thought like when she kind of like sees him like checking her out, she's kind of like, here's I have my opportunity.
Yeah.
To do
right.
it.
To do this, but it's not about her. It's about you proving to yourself that you're not ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I wouldn't worry so much about revenge as much as I got to prove to myself that I'm not vanilla and boring.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I would use that as my objective, to prove I'm special. Or to prove I can do it. Like somebody I'm going to jump out of an airplane. I'm scared, but I can do this. For you, it's I can do this. And then you're trying to be sexy on top of that in the beginning, with the nerves.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what objective were you actually using?
To do it.
To do it.
Yeah.
So, but maybe would it be more helpful for you to use the words to prove I can do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got to prove I can do it. Or again, if it's to do it, that's fine. But that means that if my objective is to do it, that means that my urge is to run away.
Right.
And I'm fighting that urge. The urge is to stay in the airplane and not jump. And I'm saying, no, I can do this. When you were a young kid, did you ever go on a high dive in a pool?
Yeah.
Like that moment where you look down and you're like, it's so high, but I can do this. That's this. It's the same deal. And everybody's looking at you and you're like, I'm not going to climb down that ladder again and get out and not jump. That's kind of here. Now you're kind of like in the pool. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you got to prove to yourself you can do it, and that may cause you to put on this sexy thing in the beginning by trying to not be ordinary. Like, I can be sexy. I can do this. I can be unique. In some weird way, her head, she seems to think that if she sleeps with a lot of guys, it makes her she seems to think that she's going to get a lot of attention.
Right.
But then, we find out, you say eventually that you're going to say that you've never done it. Have any questions?
No.
No? You get it?
Yes.
So I think the trick for you is, how do you bring out that anxiety and at the same token, the attempt to be sexy?
Alright, so I shouldn't be that. So I should be like nervous.
Very
like,
nervous.
It's okay if it
You have
shows.
to be very nervous.
Oh.
What were you going to say? It's okay if what?
No. So like if it shows like that I'm.
Well,
like,
you could
more
well,
nervous.
again, I think the trick is,
Like,
how do I have a lot of nervousness and I try to mask it, try to cover it up, but some of it bleeds through.
okay.
And then the audience gets to figure out on their own what's bleeding through, the nerves. And then as the scene goes on, she gets more and more nervous, meaning it's harder and harder for you to hide the nervousness.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it is.
Just think about it again. I think the airplane analogy is a great one, because it's almost like at the beginning of the scene, you're sitting in your seat, like 2 minutes before you're going to jump. And then the end of the scene, you're jumping. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So there's still a little bit of time to pull back. But as the scene goes on, you're getting closer and closer to your turn to jump. And it's like you're counting, and I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Like, he's a man, like he's like an adult. It's scary. You're just this little girl. I mean, he's like an old man to you. That's how you see him. He's not a boy in high school. So just being around him would scare the crap out of you when you're alone and basically he's looking at you that way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you've never done it before too. Like, let's add that on top of it. The question?
Should she even attempt to try to look sexy?
That's what I'm saying. She's trying. Yeah, she's trying to. She's trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can try to look sexy, like do whatever you would do, like something with your hair, but it's got to have the nervousness there underneath it.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not going to work.